Mwake ule. Your talent tumefunga. No. Sasa yako. Ndio yako.
Ini ina trend sasa. Japo faidi. Description. Ini trend.
In fact, mtu unataka. Okay. What the hell? Okay, hizi trends zinakuwa zinafanana za kila mtu ama hizi ni zangu tu.
Deals more to
Na Trevor.
ukitembea tu kwa street.
Sasa hiyo watu huitwa ndivyo katika letu hao. Afadhali hata ungechukua hapo ungekuonyesha shimo iko hapa. Sasa hiyo nimeshiba. Tuingie TikTok.
Ama utaweka Google Trends.
Kwa Google.
Google Trends. Kuna ile pengine kuna mtu ameuliwa.
Ati tunataka nini? Oh, nini Wavinyandeti. Kwanza hiyo imekuwa trend juzi. Machakos governor Wavinyandeti. Hii ilikuwa imekuwa story jana na leo.
Amefanya nini?
Alibeba 600 something million akaenda UK. Kwenda UK bank za UK wakaka kuchukua dudu and hana explanation.
Wenye hii
Pesa
pesa
imetoka wapi. So sasa jana alikuwa stranded in the UK.
na hizi pesa.
Yeah, with 600 million, 600 plus. Wavinyandeti.
Bang dia amefanya.
Gani?
Yeah, iko. Back to top. Ni watu wanatubebanga. Yaani nani alikuwa ameshikwa juzi na 200 and something million.
Nani Murkomen? Murkomen ni kitambo kidogo. Alikuwa before maandamano. Ini ile yenye ilikuwa before.
Ama
Inafaa ionekane hapa so. Alafu ushow how like can you think like this icon. Oh baby, so you can hivyo unafaa uende mwezi mmoja upande miti ufanye kile kitu wanafanya. Ilikuwa wiki mbili. Wako wapi anko? Wako wapi anko? Mala kabisa change like picha ya desktop yako ama what? Wako wapi anko? Ukanyanga hapo.
Sasa hii ndio itatokea kama
Hiyo vile iko like desktop yako. Sasa tuchange picha ya desktop yako ikuwe na like ni kama vile like picha. Isikuwa
picha
highlight.
hii hadi at least mimi si kaka. Mani aliingia kwa nini yako na WhatsApp kwa simu yako. Yeah, alitumia simu yako kwenda WhatsApp.
Like kuweka namba yake kwa simu yangu like WhatsApp yake.
It was just one day, but ziliingia
Yeah. Yes, I remember.
Kuaje
Oh my
hapo
God.
hadi mimi sika.
Oh my God.
Boom.
Mimi naingia kwa gallery yangu niko like
Ba-
I don't know who this is. I have no idea who hizi vitu zinafanya nini kwa ajili yangu. Amaja mimi. Kama alifanya hadi nijishuku.
Kuingia mwenyewe. Boom.
No. Unakuja kutolea nani fujo? Unakuja kutolea nani fujo? No. Nenda kwa mami. Nenda kasumbua mami. Nenda kasumbua mama yako.
That is not funny.
Wapi anga yako? Nenda ukapande viti huko juu. Anaenda kupiga kazi. Anataka kutoboa hii material hapa. No. Wewe. Enda kwa mama yako, enda ukapande huko juu ya viti huko. Ungemwacha tu endelee kucheza huko nyuma. Nani amepanda hapa? Hapa.
Bado haijafika hapo.
Na pia natoa ngoma mpya. Hiyo si mpya. Anaimbia Arrow Boy.
But anaimbia nani sasa?
Sinasikia anaimbia Arrow Boy. Na si aliambiwa atazaliwa watoto. What? Kwani waliachana? Aliimba ngoma kama hiyo manifestation.
Kwanza
I think ya black sasa ndio. Sasa sisi wenye tulijua na mapenzi tukae Marekani.
Tufike na nini zake.
Hata wewe unajikaunt kwa wenye tu wanateseka.
Nateseka kimoja.
Kumbe ndio unaendanga unajikuta ni wewe peke yako. Kumbe watu walikuwa
Waliingia
wanadanganyana
kitambo.
Nimerudi. Ndio maana ndio mfulani ndio club nisema
Mbona?
like kuna timu ana freeze alafu like na minutes before
Arudi.
So what happens if they show up while you're doing this?
Well, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, you know? If he does show up, you can expect to hear some
That's how it starts.
na mnaongelelea Lilian.
Mara nyingine huko.
Mnaongelelea Lilian. Yeah. Oh my God. Hata gasa amezima, mbona ananipea anxiety? Usiguze. Ya kujisplay bei God ndio niko like what the hell? Kila kitu.
Na ile ingine akena akiwa ameenda kuchini. Bwana akakuja. Leo alikuwa ametengeneza kwanza kaa episodes 1 2 3 4 hadi 5. TikTok hajatengeneza nini ya Elapi.
Alapi
Kupati mbona lapi.
sijaona. TikTok for PC.
Nani live. Nini huko. Hello guys. Welcome back to my TikTok channel. Oh, na huku nitumia ile vida. Ile nada kunini.
Hizo bidhaa okay, ni pieces ni like
I'm gonna show you guys.
sana shangani kutumia na WhatsApp sikuletea hiyo na already simu yangu like
Kutuma kama
that.
button.
Kuna video zenyewe. Ai. And then there is me.
Oh no.
And then there is me. And then there is me.
Unaeka zote zi download direct nini? Siweke off. Nikuja kwa gala.
Naonanga afadhali
Ni utadi.
hapa kwani nimevutisha Afrika. I think this is the first one.
Trying to see hapa ni wapi.
Kwani tukitokea hapo home. Unaona ukipita ile place yetu, ukipita mama national nguo. Kile kinyumba kinataka kinasemekana sijui wanakwambia
Nikaona yule swala current ya
wanakwanga yeye.
yeah, things or something like that.
Hii nyumba ilikuwa inajengwa unaona nikiingia high school.
In the same place kwanza ilikuwa.
Ilikuwa imesimama hivyo vile imesimama saa hii.
Kuja tumeishi, we made lives there.
Kina Bobo wamezaliwa, wamegrow.
Generation mpya ishakuja.
Yeah, na bado iko tu the same. Sasa, like sasa ile lazima like silent that audio. You silent that audio ndio alafu hapo main road. Hizo ndio like zina shanga. Nimejaribu kuchukua. Alafu tunafika like tukirudi mama anauliza na hizi video unachukua ni za nini? Mpaka unasikia tu umechoka. Kwani unashinda unachukua video?
Na umeng'ang'ana nazo.
I know. Nilikuwa nataka alafu ile time yenyewe nilikuwa mama shachukua simu.
Yeah. Kumbuka nitagelelea. Modifications. Don't get kids.
Hapa kuna message
Ninafukuza.
macho na masikio.
Baba.
Macho. Hiyo ni chai ya mtu tena nayo.
Okay, hapo fungua WhatsApp. Inaandika like na au ding 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 ding. You wanna cruise? Just another cruise.
Hiyo offer hata I think imeisha sasa hiyo wanaziuza na 1900.
All the people I talk to wako hapa. And it never changes. Ikibadilika, I will be surprised. She's
Wanajientertain na bibi zake za kichwa. Yaani Betty Bayo yani alidanganywa na Kanyari tu. Kanyari.
hizi wanaume ni kudanganya.
Kanyari.
Very cute guy. Handsome mess itself.
What part is handsome?
What part is
About
not handsome?
Kanyari. Toka mshago kali sana. No, magari sitabayana Easter. Baadaye ilikuwa nafanya kwanza ikifika nashopanga 5,000. Nilianza kusabai,
Sahi bado
pata hakuna hopes kwa sababu 2020 tunajua kama Bobo hakuwa amezaliwa. Sasa hata priorities zisha change. Nyumba hii sasa ilikuwa poa.
you want paper.
Hizi ni hiyo dema iliacha.
Hadi
Mwenye alitoka ile kama huko. Hadi malikuwa mpoa.
kwa nini? Every part of my business sahi niko hapa.
Oh my God, sijui tuendee pork. Sijui pork. Ama niweze pork. Kule pork na ugali. Pork naweza nini? Me by the way, pork na fish. Kama ni wewe against fish. Pork.
Wow. Bado huja.
Imagine namuzia ananiuliza kama alikuwa anajua nauza.
Hii anauliza.
Nilishuku alikuwa ameniambia kilipwa atabai TV za bebe. Nasiku Julian alikuwa hapa alimwambia ya ni bai ile TV ilikuwa bedroom.
But unajua sasa ile ameingilia story.
Ile anaweza ingilia story. Hayo ni kusaidiwa. Zile pesa alikuwa akasema atazichukua. Yo,
Kuna pele moja.
kuna pili moja pekee.
Tunateseka.
Oh, bedhe hizo pia
Oh, damn.
sikumwambia.
Oh my lord.
Mimi ndio sasa hebu mtolee hizo pilo. Kwa vile nasema mtoto wetu jamani akianza kunini wewe spenda mashuka hata unamwona naona shadi nikufungua nataka kufungua kioo.
Sasa ni kucheza anacheza naye.
Over here, we've got the cameras with a wide angle and some close-up angles. We've also got this vertical angle for repurposing content. For lighting, I'm using this giant softbox, as well as these backlights. And over here is all the audio gear. Overall, I'm really enjoying this setup. This
You want other people to be as bad as you. How to seem as bad.
Unaona ukitengeneza nini? Ukitengeneza like podcast. Ngoja. Uliongeza pillowcase juu ya pillowcase. Iko na pillowcase ndani already. Hebu tuonyeshe. Hii ni pillowcase. Oh, hapana alitoa kuna nini? Hii ndio ile. Hii ndio aliweka juu. Hii ndio pillowcase. Hii ndio pillowcase. Ndani ndio pillow iko.
Lakini mimi ni nani?
Bado mwambie anakuja na pillow yake. Anataka kuwa na live.
Si ndio? Next plan of action.
Ulikuja na moja peke yake?
Si joto hii.
Guy na watoto manage kwenda kwa ule mzee. Kwa ule mzee. Nikaamua nikakaa kwa wenyewe. Hebu endea beti. Nisiwaexplainia what happened. Uliosha beti si alafu mkakosa ingine ya kulalia. Yep. Ew, mlilalia mattress bila bedsheet. Nililala kwa kiti. Nasema nikaenda kakiwa kadogo before tukamodify. Na hata naweza
Kwani uko na madoido aje? Ni madoido. Unaosha nyinyi wote sasa wawili. Ni lazima mlienda kujaribu. Bobo anaulizwa kwa nini?
Look at the product.
Bobo, you do you. Na usiulizwa maswali.
Look at the product. Zililei. Hata ulei ni ng'ombe. Nikaamka. Bangi niliamka nikafua bed, nikafua blanketi, nikafua manguo. Nikasahau kesho naenda job na nikafua nguo zangu na weather yenyewe. Nikwambia
Yaani anang'ara na nini hapo hivyo. Mwanaume fulani
nilienda na hiyo hapo hivyo na kile kijiji cha black. Akaniambia aje. Na nguo zenyewe. Oh my God, unaona kutengeneza hii podcast. Umejaribu kuweka like hii kiti hivi. Sasa wako. Yeah. Hebu nijue ama niliweza nimeweka hivi.
Oh, hivi.
Niliweza nimeweka hivi. WhatsApp nayo haitakuwa. Unajua hata nikamuua. Mlijaribu kunini?
Niambia.
Unaona kila kitu ilikuwa sawa.
Hebu niongezee kazi.
Hebu nipe kitu kingine. Unaona kitu hizi kusongesha kama hapa. Hii inaweza kuwa poa kama unataka kuanzisha podcast. The only kitu inaongezewa like ukitaka kuanzisha podcast ni kuhang something hapa ya podcast kukaba. Yeah, so like a people. Kama anatoka kwa bangi.
Sasa zinashuka.
Mlala na mlango. Alafu mbona uliza mbona siwai? Yummy. Anakuharibia mpango ya jioni.
Sasa kimebaki ni kutafuta pesa.
Ule demo hapa mbele alienda.
Kale kudai ndio sasa.
Mwenye alikuwa anavuta bangi hapa hadi wewe.
Watu wanashangaa.
Ni wapi kuna event kwa hivi sasa? Tunataka crash. Ni wapi kutakuwa
This, I think, was close to 100.
Dude, this looks amazing. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm digging it. I mean, if you wanted to get really crazy,
Yep, it's also missing a wheel.
now you tell me.
What's up, Indie Mogul? My name is Ted, and today we're talking about podcasts, how to make one, what mics to choose, how to elevate your podcast into this shot. And we're going to do it step by step so you can follow along the entire way. And to go over this today, I got my buddy Casey Macbeth over here. Casey, tell them a little bit about some of the interview credits that you got.
I work on a lot of different interviews for big corporate clients like HP, Lenovo, but I also work with the Oscars for their big campaigns.
Casey has shot seriously some of the biggest interviews in the world, so we're gonna be going through how to make any location on any budget with any amount of gear that you have look good no matter what. So, ready? Let's do it. Let's do this. Here we go. First off, Casey, when you normally shoot, what camera do you normally shoot with?
I mean,
Cool, don't care. We're gonna give you this camera real quick. It's your lucky day, Casey. We got 2 cameras for you here. The A6400 from Sony.
okay.
This is a sub $1,000 camera. Normally, how much is the camera that you normally shoot with?
A lot.
Okay, cool, sounds good.
I mean, we've got matching cameras, we've got matching lens manufacturers, we have essentially matching focal lengths. I mean, this is like a great way to start to make sure you've got something that looks homogeneous in the end. So obviously this will help production value. So if you guys are shooting podcasts, you know, you can do one camera and you can set up in a way to make that work for multiple people. But I think a lot of times people are used to like bigger podcasts, like or some others where there's multiple cameras usually cutting back and forth between people. So this will give you a way to add some energy into your edit, into your final video, and that'll keep people engaged a lot longer.
And for this podcast today, I'm going to give you a specific example of what I want to make today. 2 podcasts. One is I want to do a yoga podcast where we talk about, you know, all things well-being and health related.
Okay.
And the second scenario that I want to do is competitive yo-yoing. The yoga and yo-yoing podcast, okay? If it's one look that's versatile for the 2 of them, fine. If it's,
We might be able to do it.
we're gonna shoot this in the storage space. And we have to turn this room into a podcast space.
You know what? I honestly feel like anybody who's in the room is in a better spot than we are.
Yes, no complaints today. We're gonna make this look good.
I feel like the most distracting thing is usually really bright walls because those are hard to control. They're hard to make a bright wall dark, especially if you have limited budget for lighting.
So we went ahead and we already painted a section of the wall here for you. So you have a starting ground here to work with. For people at home that have normal white walls in a living room or a bedroom or something like that, what would you recommend for them?
There's lots of great options. You can get seamless paper rolls, which are fantastic. You can get them in thousands of colors. There's also vinyl, fabric, to just have a background that's more interesting than drywall.
When we come into a location like this, how do we start from scratch?
Let's bring in a table and start eyeballing where we want to drop cameras.
You want it a little off the wall, right?
Anytime that you can separate the wall from the subject, either, you know, if it's furniture or if it's people, like obviously more room to work, it adds more depth. If you're gonna move the camera, it allows you to have some form of parallax.
This is our Yoga and Yo-Yos podcast. This real quick is what the frame looks like for everyone that's wondering. Here we go. I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably set up a podcast already that looks like this. How do you take it to the next step?
So the first thing I'm seeing as I look at you is I'm seeing a gigantic wall that we don't want to see behind you. So I already know the camera can't be here. If you're talking this way, I'm going to want to keep you on the left side of the frame so you have more open space in front of you so you don't feel like all closed off against the edge of the frame.
Let's set up that camera. What do we need to know about the camera setups for podcasts?
I feel like you should try to make everything run on auto as much as possible. So plug-in power. I feel like there's a lot of cameras nowadays that are able to take either wall power or USB power and continue to run. So you don't want to like worry about cameras turning off while you're shooting. You don't want to worry about trying to change batteries.
So what are you seeing here in this first frame?
So somewhere in here, we're gonna find a frame. So now,
Just on the edge, we'll cut it off.
yeah, as far as we know, that wall just goes on forever.
Yep. Let's get our next camera set up.
It just needs to kind of match. So, I mean, we're looking for like similar size of people. You don't want one where their head's filling up half the frame. The other one, it's, you know, just like barely in there.
We got a frame set up now. What's next?
Setting up some of our lighting first, just so we can get a base, so we can turn off these house lights. And then we can start set dressing and fine tuning everything from there. How many lights do we have?
2. I mean, there's more, but you're only allowed to use 2.
So, what did we just say? We need...
Honey, are you sure you weren't mad? No, I'm not mad. I'm fine.
I'm fine, there's nothing wrong. It's probably better to start off with the backlight, just so that way that'll kind of work as a backlight for this camera, but be a key light for these side angle cameras. It really serves to draw the eye of the person. It keeps them cut off from the background.
Well, if the light has to be behind them, but it also can't be in the frame, How do I do this?
A lot of times what you'll see people do is try to figure out how to rig to the wall. But I mean, there's other tools that you can use. You can do a goalpost. So what you would do is you would grab 2 stands and something to bridge across them, like speed rail or steel pipe. One of the things that you can take advantage of is a polecat or an auto pole. They are a collapsible pole, kind of like a tension rod, like a shower curtain
It's
rod.
like a big shower curtain.
Yeah, and all you do is you can unlock them and spread them out and then relock them, and they'll be under tension, so that way you can then rig lights to it.
So this is what we actually use for our podcast. We have a super small room. There's no way in hell we're going to put 2 stands in there. So we have one of those here today,
Okay.
but there's no walls to rig it to. So
Okay. So if we were in a bedroom, we'd actually be better off again. I feel like we're going to keep coming
do you
back.
hear
to
that?
this. If we can cheat and use stands and use that polecat auto pole as a goalpost and rig it up with stands, then we can make that work. Let's rig it there for now. Let's kill the house lights and let's see what we're working with. Especially for something like we're doing here where we're filming for a long time, the lighting that's going to come.
Haingevunjika. Ule jamaa mwenye alikuwa amempeleka Zanzibar mwingine. Bado haijapata ile pesa ya kutuma. Na sasa leta nipulize. Ni wapi hapo? Yeah, I think no. Bubu yako.
Coming
Do you
back to
hear
this.
that?
If we can cheat and use stands and use that.
Wazungu ni bamba. Wanasemanga ati setup.
Hapo anaanzia vitu vingine hapo.
Kitu yenye out of this earth. You need resources and manpower.
Okay guys, it's finally time for a studio tour. We just launched this like 2 weeks ago, and so it took us about a month to build. We were gonna get an office space, but it was way more expensive than just getting a house to do it in. So we're doing it in a living room.
That is hapa mbele. Yeah, plus. That is
It's
That is
7.5.
7. That is like
How much? 7.7. Yeah.
no.
Oh,
That
just
is
to be
like
safe. 7.6.
oh my god, yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh, see,
that's a lot.
7 kuweka simple setup. Bado hujaanzia kwa
Hiyo itarudi kweli. Mbona urudi kwa kitanda huko ukarukaruka?
This is how I turned one of my apartment rooms into my very own YouTube video podcast called The PT Lounge. And whether you have your own video podcast or you're looking to start one, I provided the links in the description of all the equipment that I have in this video. So let's get started. Okay, so this room is an 11.5 foot by 11.5 foot room. It's quite compact, so I've kind of just made sure that everything is intentional and where it should be. Starting with the room, this is a carpeted floor, which is great for the audio, and it kind of absorbs some of the echo, as well as if you come over here, I've kind of put into this corner a couple sound panels, these great sound panels, so it just absorbs some of the audio coming in from when I'm talking to my guest, as well as right behind here in this wall, I have a moving blanket that I got from Amazon. It came in a pack of 2. It just kind of right up against the wall, and this isn't really seen in the video, but it's just great for audio. Majority of the video experience is the audio, so if the audio is bad, then the video is not as enjoyable. Next, I'm going to be talking about the room and the ambiance. Every video podcast has its own vibe to it, so I've kind of placed things around the room that I enjoy. But first things first, I think every video podcast has a fake plant. So I got this fake plant. It's tall enough to where when my guest sits right here, you can still see some of the plant in the video. But I just got this from Hobby Lobby, but you can kind of get it from IKEA. Next, I have this lamp in the background, which has a light from Govee. I bought it on Amazon as well. The cool thing about this light is that I can, through my phone, adjust the brightness as well as the color. So if I wanted this to be a blue light, a red light, an orange light, I can kind of change it through my phone. And I just keep this nice and warm and pretty light, so it's not too bright when it comes to the background of my guest. I have next a banner here, the PT Lounge, that I've kind of just printed. In this corner here, I have another light stand. It is a warm color. I have Proverbs 3:27, my favorite verse in the Bible. And then I have this shelf right here from IKEA, nice and heavy duty and sturdy, as well as a couple things that I really enjoy, you know, books, volleyball. I have one right there, as well as in the back. I've got my orange Air Jordan ones that I wore at my wedding, which I really enjoy, and I just kind of put it there for as a memoir, and I love just seeing it every time I come into this room. But that is pretty much it in terms of the things around the room. Now let's get into the fun stuff, which is the tech and the gear in this room. First, I'm going to be talking about my lighting, because lighting is so important. In this room, I have a overhead light, which I keep off because it gives off a warm light that is pretty bright, and I kind of don't like that filling this entire room. Instead, I fill it with nice daytime lighting. And first, my first light is this GVM 100W, and I love this light. This is pretty heavy duty, and you just have to place it wherever you want. Sometimes I keep it pretty high, sometimes low. It is adjustable, and the reason why I love this light is this is one of those lights where you just buy it once and it can last you forever, and you can use it for so many different uses. With this light, I can also change the temperature as well as the brightness, and so I always keep this one roughly around 5400 Kelvin, which is daytime lighting. I want daytime lighting to hit me and my guests in the face, and then the background is going to be a little bit warmer, so kind of different tones there. My second lighting is my first first ever lighting that I ever got. It is this Mount Dog. I believe it's less than $50 on Amazon. The cool thing about this is it's so much more lightweight compared to the GVM, and it comes with this remote which I can turn it on and I can turn it off just like that in a switch of a button, and I can also change the brightness as well as the warmth of this light. So when it comes to lighting, I have two sets of light, one light that is hitting me and then the other light is hitting my guest. Let's get into the audio next. And again, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, majority of the video experience is audio. So I've invested some money into some pretty good audio equipment here, starting with the microphone, which is a Samson Q9U. I love this microphone. I have two of them, one for myself and for my guest. It has that really rich and bold radio studio sound to it, which I really enjoy. And through that, I have an XLR cable that is being fed through this audio recorder, which is the Zoom PodTrack P4. I absolutely love this audio recorder. It hasn't failed me yet. And I think the cool thing about this is that it has 4 ports. So it has 4 ports for XLR and 4 ports for headphones. And if I wanted to record a 4-person podcast, I could. The cool thing about this microphone is that you can also attach a USB to this, where you can go directly from the microphone into your phone. And we'll kind of go over the camera equipment later. But if you have a phone and this microphone, you can have yourself a pretty solid video podcast setup. And for headphones, I have the Audio-Technica ATH M20X. And during the podcast, I wear this microphone as well as my guest, and you can just really hear your own audio as well as the guest, so you can be a little bit more focused and intimate when it comes to the sound. When I have this on, I don't hear anything else in the room, which is really great to just focus in on the podcast. Okay, going back to the Samson Q9U microphone, I'm going to be switching from the audio from the camera. And now I am talking into the Samson Q9U. As you can tell, there is just this kind of radio boldness to the sound, which I love. And it really does sound like a video pod much. I think right now on Amazon, it's about $100 or so. And so it's a really good investment. All you need is a microphone, an XLR or a USB, and you plug it straight into the audio recorder or your phone, and you are good to go. Now we are switching back to the microphone that is connected to the camera. And last but not least, it is the camera equipment that I use. For my video podcast on the PT Lounge, I use a 3-camera setup. I have a wide shot that includes my guest and myself, and then I have another camera setup that is just for me and another one for my guests. So the main camera that I use for the wide shot is actually the camera that is being used right now. It is the Sony ZV-E10 with the 16mm 1.4 lens by Sigma. Sometimes I switch between this lens as well as the 16 to 15mm kit lens that comes with the Sony ZV-E10. But I actually put this camera onto this lightweight tripod, and I've attached a Fulcrum by Ulanzi F38 quick release plate on here. So then I just put that camera on here, and the cool thing about the quick release is that in just one press of a button, I can remove and attach the camera onto this tripod. And usually that just kind of stays right here, and it is pretty steady. And so let's go into the other cameras that I have. These are my brother's cameras, and this one is a Canon 60D with a 50mm lens to it. This is a really close-up shot at me, and this is my camera that is directly pointed straight at my face. Moving on to the second camera, the camera that is towards my guest. It is this Canon 80D with a 18 to 35mm lens. This is more of a wider shot, so typically I keep it at 35mm, but you can kind of see where I'm sitting right here. The Canon 80D is going to be right there, right in front of the guest. So that is pretty much it for my studio video podcast setup. Again, this is just an 11.5 by 11.5 space, and whether you have a really big room or a compact room, I think what matters most is how you utilize your own equipment to make the experience yours. Again, thank you for watching, and I provided all the links to these equipments down in the description if you are interested in buying them yourself. And lastly, if you are interested in watching one of the episodes from the PT Lounge, you can click on the screen here, as well as another video where I created a 101 on inpatient rehab because I'm a physical therapist and I work in the rehab department. So check out that video and enjoy.
So with Rocket League Season 16 releasing recently, I took a look at the tournament rewards and I was interested in the new goal explosion. So I decided to queue the very first 2v2 tournament solo. I ended up running into a player named Clouds and had a lot of fun. He also shared with me his tournament rewards. Let's see if we can win, hope you guys enjoy. Alright, let's see if we get a teammate. Our name is Freudian Aftershock. Let's see, join VC.
This is how I turned one of my apartment rooms into my very own YouTube video podcast called the PT Lounge. And whether you have your own video podcast or you're looking to start one, I provided the links in the description of all the equipment that I have in this video. So let's get started. Okay, so this room is an 11.5 foot by 11.5 foot room. It's quite compact, so I've kind of just made sure that everything is intentional and where it should be. Starting with the room, this is a carpeted floor, which is great for the audio and it kind of absorbs some of the echo, as well as if you come over here, I've kind of put into this corner a couple sound panels, these great sound panels, so it just absorbs some of the audio coming in from when I'm talking to my guest, as well as right behind here in this wall I have a moving blanket that I got from Amazon. It came in a pack of 2. It just kind of right up against the wall, and this isn't really seen in the video, but it's just great for audio. Majority of the video experience is the audio, so if the audio is bad, then the video is not as enjoyable. Next, I'm going to be talking about the room and the ambiance. Every video podcast has its own vibe to it, so I've kind of placed things around the room that I enjoy. But first things first, I think every video podcast has a fake plant. So I got this fake plant. It's taller.
Hey, what's going on? Today I'm going to share how I converted this main bedroom into a podcast studio. I'm going to run through all the gear that I use and the types of podcast studio setups that we can get away with in just one small bedroom. So if you've ever wanted to set up a podcast at home cheap and look like Joe Rogan or one of your favorite podcast studios, this is the video for you. So the first piece of gear that is essential is the microphone. This is a Shure MV7. These are kind of the baby brother of the famous SM7B microphones. They're nice and affordable. You can get XLR and USB versions. So we're going for the XLR so we can run it into a mixer, which I'll get into shortly. An important thing to note with these mics is that the windscreen is actually replaceable. So we've gone ahead and replaced them with the RK345 windshields or windscreens. The reason for that is that they're a bit longer and they're going to reduce the pops and the plosive, so the pz and the sz when you're speaking into it, and they kind of look like the SM7Bs also with that elongated windscreen. We used to use bass and it just distracts you from the other person that you're talking to when the boom arm's waving around all the time. So we've gone ahead and got the desktop stands, the DS1s by Rode, and they're just nice and portable, and they work perfectly with the Shure MV7s. Nice and compact little setup there. On top of that, we now have a TV, which is really cool to have in the studio space, and that allows us to show video, and then obviously the audio is one of the most important parts as well. So for the video part, we have a Google Chromecast in the back, which allows us to send videos and images wirelessly from like a phone or a tablet. That's pretty simple and straightforward. We also have a Belkin mini display port to HDMI cable that plugs into the MacBook Air that we're using, and you can just essentially Google stuff on the go, on the fly, and that will send the video to the TV for us to look at and comment on. So with the audio, we have a digital to analog converter taped in the back of the TV, and that essentially runs the audio from the digital file on the TV into an analog form that then goes into the mixer on its own track. So that's the main setup that we have, but we also have another little gadget that allows us to have guests call in virtually or remotely via Skype or StreamYard or Zoom or something like that, and that's the Audio Technica ATR2X USB adapter. And basically what that does is allows us to have an audio in and an audio out, so the headphones and the microphone into this adapter, and that goes into the USB, which then plugs into the computer. So they are all the audio inputs, and now all of that stuff.
If you watch our YouTube channel or even our video podcast, this is typically the shot that you're going to see what's behind me and then some of the equipment that we use for the production on the table. But there is a lot more behind the scenes that you actually cannot see. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a tour of this studio thing I got going on here. So you can see everything that we use and the kind of the production workflow that I have, and hopefully give you some ideas for your home office studio or podcast setup. So stay tuned. Alright, so this is again just a spare room in our house. My wife had me put up this recording sign so she knows when not to walk in. So it's just an LED one, not a good video light, but still nice to have out here. I do have it running down here to a switch that I can turn on and off. And then the power cord is actually running underneath the door into an outlet on the other side. So we're recording, light goes on. So this is what we have set up as usually the backdrop in the video. And then this, if I flip around here, is the actual studio part where we record. Kind of a weird way to set up an office, so if you're not used to somebody doing a YouTube video and they walk into a room like this, they're gonna be like, what the hell is going on here? So if I can zoom out a little bit more there, kind of get a better picture. So that's where all the magic happens. I guess we'll start with the desk. It's a Husky workbench. I love this thing. It's nice and long and wide, so I can fit 4 people around there for our podcast. It's on wheels, so I can move it around, and I'll show you